We are not even 30 days into 2025 and Sony has already canceled 3 live service games. Now if you're like me, this made you happy. After all, Sony's strength is in its single player offerings, not multiplayer. The latest cancellations include a Horizon live service game, but apparently there's still a multiplayer game for that being made. Also, whatever a God of War multiplayer game would have looked like, and I remember that from Ascension, it wasn't good. And then Days Gone, the Sony Bend studio was also working on something live service, and that's been canceled as well. And this to me is just a surefire sign that they have learned their lesson from the failure of Concord and the toxic positivity around these games that gamers keep saying they don't want. Thankfully, Jim Ryan, former Sony CEO, president, whatever you want to call it, the current architect of this madness and all the live service push, is gone. So we can finally start righting the ship, which is funny because that's the exact same thing I said about Ubisoft a couple of weeks ago. Also, Bluepoint should not be ever making a multiplayer game. They make fantastic remakes. Put them where they should be. And just a quick recap for those of you that don't remember or maybe weren't paying attention back in the day, there was a point where Sony was pushing for 12 live service games within 5 years. To be more specific, they expected them to be out by the end of fiscal 2025. That is to say, basically March of 2026 or April of 2026 is when they needed to be released. It's almost like forcing multiplayer stuff into your single player games doesn't work or something like that. I don't know. Thankfully, Amans9191 on Reddit, the front page of the internet, made this lovely list of games that they have canceled, tried to make, or have released and flopped. So let's go over that list real quick and see where Sony went wrong. First off, they are still making Marathon, and the whole Bungie acquisition was very clearly for live service. I do think this is the best call. Keeping them on the live service train gives you the highest chance of getting your return. That's what they excel at. Excel, quote unquote. However, Destiny 2's profits have been down basically since Sony bought them. Marathon's having some issues. That team is having some issues. I don't even know if we see this in 2025. I could realistically see this Marathon being a 2026 game at this point. However, I do think they have passed the biggest hurdle in the games industry right now, and that is your reveal. The reveal for Marathon is overwhelmingly positive, 20-something million views, and it is good. That is a good look. Now let's go look at the other game I'm going to talk about, Fair Games. I did a video recently on this. My thumbnail is trash, so you probably didn't see it, but this is the Jade Raymond heist game, eat the rich. The whole thing just screams social justice. My favorite thing in video games, and this is a heist game for those of you that didn't know, my favorite thing is that when I have all my loot and I need to wait for extraction, and then it's like 10 seconds before the bus or helicopter or my warp gets here, and then I get killed and lose everything. I love that. I love wasting time, Sony. Apparently you do too, because you're making this game. The only good thing going for this right now, this Fair Games game that doesn't even have a title, is that it was purchased from Stadia, after Stadia basically shut down. My assumption is there was a pretty heavy discount, and that's why it's being made still. It's probably pretty cheap, because it's not looking good. I would not be surprised if they re-reveal this in 2025 without the logo, without anything. They want to basically erase the original trailer and show you something else. Now we'll pick it up because those monkey masks are very obvious. Those NFT looking masks are very obvious. Plus, guys like me grew up with the freaking Rock coming out of the WWF and WWE. We've learned to smell what the Rock is cooking. We definitely can smell what you're cooking, Sony, and this is bullshit.
That is one big pile of shit.
Speaking of that, there's been this rumor of a Gummy Bears MOBA game coming out, and I'm not sure about this. This is a very much reveal and let me see. I actually think the leaks hurt this more than anything because I see Gummy Bears and I'm just kind of like, not interested. However, this studio did work under Bungie, so they would assumedly have some live service experience. They are going to face a huge issue if this game does not come out in 2025 though. Valve has created its own MOBA, another MOBA, and they're the king of MOBAs. Deadlock is like the number 2 or 3 most wishlist game on Steam right now, so when that releases, I don't care what kind of a MOBA you are dead in the water. Also, if this game is aimed at kids and kids don't play it, you're probably not going to get adults to play it, so again, it's just going to flop. Unless it ends up on the Switch too. And then they have this Jason Blundell live service game. I'll be honest, I don't even know who this dude is, but this was another pickup from Sony. They bought it on the cheap, so they're going to see it through to the end. I kind of have the most faith in this one because we don't know anything about it, which is either a bad thing because nothing's been developed, or a good thing because they're actually keeping it to their chest, and when the reveal happens, people aren't going to have preconceived notions. Because what we've learned, certainly the last year, if not over the last few years, is that your first reveal means everything. If it is not good, your game might as well be canceled right then and there. I swear to God, if they come at us with another fucking CG, oh look what, it's some sort of story game, just kidding, it's a shooter. Guess what's gonna happen, Sony? Pull the plug now, get rid of them, or else you're gonna lose even more money. If I could just go on a slight tangent here, Sony has some good multiplayer IP, including Resistance, including SOCOM, and of course, my PlayStation 3 homies, where's MAG? Massive action game. That's primed for live service. And why not go home? PlayStation Home, if you really want to go live service. Oh wait, because all those studios are working on single player games. Anyways, I'm not just going to crap all over Sony. They have done a couple of live service games that were worth their salt, and that is of course MLB The Show. That is a consistent earner for them. Good on them, but it is multi-platform. In addition, Helldivers 2 has apparently sold at least 15 million units, which is massive. But you got to remember, it released in 2024, when Concord released. So it doesn't matter how much profit you earned if most of it was wiped out by a single game. Also, they count Gran Turismo as a live service game. I don't know if I do, but if you need a W, sometimes you gotta cook the books. I mean, shoot. It's online, I guess. So, to remind you, Sony's original idea was 12 live service games by the end of fiscal 2025. As of right now, they've technically released 4, one of them flopped, and the other 8 have either been canceled, shelved, or just the studios are gone. It is dark times over at Sony, but thankfully, like a phoenix from the ashes, single player games are coming back, baby. That's not to say that there aren't some issues with these cancellations. Obviously, outside of the monetary thing, some of these guys don't actually know what they're working on. Sony Ben, the guys who did Days Gone, there's apparently a Days Gone remaster being done. I just don't think the whole studio is going to be working. I don't even know if their studio is working on it, but they currently don't have any work. There is the possibility of a Days Gone sequel, despite them basically saying it would not happen. At this point, that studio, Sony Bend, the easier, cheaper option is to just do a sequel with that technology that they developed. Do I think it's going to happen? That's a coin flip for me. I'll be real with you. If you'd asked me last year, I would have said no. But right now, I do think it's a possibility. Bluepoint. I mentioned earlier that they should not be working on anything other than remakes, and that might have been a little too harsh. They have very talented individuals there, but keep them making single-player games. I don't care if it's a new IP, but I also know that there is a lot of games in the backlog that could use a complete remake, and that's what you bought Bluepoint for. Use them. As they say, jack of all trades, master of none. These development studios are tools on Sony's belt, and they're not using them properly. Let the masters that you bought, the masters of this craft, let them work on their art. There's a debate online, soul versus soulless. And I like it. It is very true. It's easy to see when something is soulless because it's a product simply designed for money. But I take it a little bit deeper. Sony is in the process of currently regaining its soul, and I will explain. To help illustrate this, I'm going to take a passage from The Tiger. It's a book that I've recently read. Great book, especially if you like hunting adventures, but that's irrelevant right now. Carrion crows follow the tigers much like seagulls follow a fishing boat. By sticking with a proven winner, they conserve energy and increase the odds of getting fed from if to when. Sony shifted to trend following, becoming the crow following the tiger in hopes they could find some scraps of meat. However, there's another famous quote about tigers, and it goes like this: tigers can't change their stripes. Sony is the industry leader. They are winning the console war handily. Why are they following other people? You are supposed to be the trendsetters. You are supposed to be leading by example. There is a reason that guys like Joseph Fares and Hideo Kojima burn so brightly. Despite how wacky, weird, and honestly sometimes kind of boring their games are, they bring passion to every single project, and you see it. Perhaps it's better to say that they leave a part of their soul in each project that they do. Soul versus soulless. Anyways, this single player shift, it's going to start occurring, but I wouldn't expect it until the PlayStation 6, which I know a lot of you are like, what do you mean? PlayStation 6 is looking to be like 2027, 2028. And at this point, with the amount of time it takes to make games, and again, with Sony Bend, don't even know what they're working on, there's simply no way they're going to get a PlayStation 5 game unless it's like Astrobot, really, really small, out before the next console is out. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. I have a feeling most of you are like me, ready to just get back into good single-player games where I can maybe waste 40 or 50 hours, as opposed to needing to keep up with every single meta, every single daily objective, every single little event going on to even feel like I am fucking relevant in this live service game. Passion, Sony. Passion sells. Get on it. All right, that's it for me. Later, Gators.